The smell of burnt coffee filled our kitchen as I gripped the counter, trying to steady myself. My legs had been getting weaker over the past year, and mornings were always the hardest. The physical therapy helped some, but the simple act of walking from our bedroom to the kitchen left me breathless. "Robert, could you help me to the chair?" I called out, hearing the familiar sound of his newspaper rustling in the living room. "In a minute, Dorothy," came his tired response. It was always in a minute these days. I carefully shuffled to the kitchen table, using the wall for support. 40 years of marriage, and I never thought I'd become what Robert clearly saw as a burden. The stroke 8 months ago had changed everything. Not just my ability to walk properly or bathe myself, but something fundamental in our relationship had shifted. Robert appeared in the doorway, his gray hair uncombed, wearing the same polo shirt he'd worn yesterday. "You're up early," he said, not meeting my eyes. I couldn't sleep. My hip was aching again. I lowered myself into the chair, wincing. "Could you help me with breakfast? Maybe some toast?" He sighed audibly. "Dorothy, we need to talk." Something in his tone made my stomach clench. I'd heard that same voice when he'd told me my mother was dying, when we'd lost our first baby. It was his serious conversation voice, and it never brought good news. "I've been thinking," he continued, pouring himself coffee but not offering me any. "This isn't working anymore. You need more help than I can give. We could look into getting a home aide again. Sarah said she might know someone." "No." He cut me off. "I mean real help. Professional help." I looked into Sunset Manor. It's a nice place, clean, good staff. My hands started shaking. Sunset Manor? That's a nursing home, Robert. It's an assisted living facility. There's a difference. He still wouldn't look at me. They have physical therapy, nurses on staff, 24/7, activities. You'd be more comfortable there. More comfortable. The words hit me like a slap. More comfortable than in the home we'd built together, where I'd raised our daughter Sarah, where every room held 40 years of memories. I don't want to be more comfortable, Robert. I want to be home. With you. He finally looked at me then, and what I saw in his eyes broke something inside me. There was no love there, no concern for my well-being, just exhaustion and, if I was being honest, disgust. "Dorothy, you can barely walk to the bathroom by yourself. You need help getting dressed, getting in and out of the shower. I'm 72 years old. I can't be your nurse." "You're my husband," I whispered. "And I'm tired," he snapped. "I'm tired of helping you to the toilet. I'm tired of watching you struggle to cut your food. I'm tired of this." He gestured vaguely at me, as if I were some unwanted piece of furniture. The kitchen fell silent except for the tick of the clock on the wall, the same clock Sarah had given us for our 20th anniversary. I stared at my hands, noting how thin they'd become, how the wedding ring hung loose on my finger. When would this happen? I asked quietly. "I've already put down a deposit. They have a room available next week." Next week. He'd planned this, made arrangements, spent our money, all without asking me, without discussing it. The man I'd married, who'd promised to love me in sickness and in health, had already decided my fate. "Have you told Sarah?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Not yet. I thought it would be better coming from you." Of course he did. He wanted me to do his dirty work, to explain to our daughter why her father was abandoning her mother when she needed him most. My phone buzzed on the table. A text from Sarah. "Mom, how are you feeling today? Wish I could come over, but Jamie has soccer and the twins have practice. Love you, Sarah." My beautiful daughter who worked 2 jobs and still managed to raise 3 children practically on her own since her divorce 2 years ago. She called every day, visited when she could, always apologizing for not doing more. She had her own struggles, her own burdens, and somehow still found time to worry about me. "She's going to be upset," I said. Robert shrugged. "She'll understand. She's practical like that." But I knew Sarah better than he did. She might be practical, but she was also fiercely loyal. This would devastate her, and she'd blame herself for not being able to take care of me herself. I need to think about this, I said. There's nothing to think about, Dorothy. I've already signed the papers. They're expecting you Thursday. Thursday. 5 days away. I looked around our kitchen at the little herb garden on the windowsill that I could no longer tend, at the refrigerator covered with pictures of my grandchildren, at the coffee maker that Robert had bought me for Mother's Day 3 years ago when things were still normal between us. I see, I said finally. Robert nodded, seeming relieved that I wasn't fighting him. You'll see. It'll be better for everyone this way. Better for everyone. He meant better for him. As he left the kitchen, I heard him humming slightly, the first time I'd heard him make any happy sound in months. The reality of my situation settled over me like a heavy blanket. My husband of 40 years was throwing me away, and there wasn't a thing I could do to stop it. Or was there? I reached for my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found the number I was looking for. Patricia Williamson, real estate attorney. We'd used her when we'd bought this house 30 years ago. My finger hovered over her number. An idea was forming, something that might give me back some control over my life. Something that would ensure my daughter and grandchildren were taken care of, even if my husband didn't care about taking care of me. I pressed call. Patricia? It's Dorothy Mitchell. Yes, I know it's been years. Listen, I need to ask you about something. Hypothetically speaking, if someone wanted to transfer property ownership, how would that work? I kept my voice low, listening for Robert's footsteps while Patricia explained the basics of property transfer. My heart pounded as I took notes on the back of an old grocery list. And this could be done quickly? Within a few days. I asked, Dorothy, is everything all right? You sound stressed. I almost laughed. Stressed was an understatement. I'm fine, Patricia. Just exploring my options. After hanging up, I sat in the kitchen for a long time, staring at the notes I'd scribbled. The house was in both our names, but I had every right to transfer my half to Sarah. It would complicate things for Robert, certainly, but maybe that was exactly what needed to happen. The front door slammed, and I heard Robert's car start up. He was probably going to his brother's house, his new routine whenever he wanted to avoid dealing with me. I called Sarah. Mom, how are you feeling? I was just thinking about you. Sarah's voice was rushed, distracted. I could hear children shouting in the background and what sounded like cartoons on TV. I need to talk to you about something important. Can you come over today? Oh, Mom, I wish I could. Tommy has a fever and I can't leave him, and Katie's science project is due tomorrow, and we haven't even started. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow might be too late. I needed to tell her about Robert's plan before he did. And I needed to discuss my own plan before I lost my nerve. Sarah, it's really important. About your father and me. The background noise seemed to quiet. Mom, you're scaring me. Are you okay? Is Dad okay? We're both fine health-wise, but there are some things happening that you need to know about. What kind of things? I took a deep breath. Your father has decided that I need to go into a nursing home. He's made arrangements without telling me, and I'm supposed to move in Thursday. Silence. Complete silence. Sarah, are you there? I'm here. Her voice was different now, harder. He what? He says I'm too much work, that he can't take care of me anymore. He's already paid a deposit at Sunset Manor. That son of a she caught herself. Mom, I'm coming over. Right now. But Tommy will be fine. I'm calling Mrs. Rodriguez to watch the kids. I'll be there in 20 minutes. The line went dead. I'd never heard Sarah sound so angry, not even during her divorce, when she'd found out her ex-husband was cheating. 20 minutes later, Sarah burst through the front door like a storm. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she was still wearing her work uniform from the diner. Where is he? She demanded. At Uncle Joe's, I think. Sarah, please sit down. There's more we need to discuss. She paced the living room like a caged animal. I can't believe him. 40 years, Mom. 40 years you've taken care of him, supported his career, raised me practically single-handed because he was always working late or playing golf. And this is how he repays you. Sarah, I should have seen this coming. The way he's been acting lately, barely helping you, acting like you're some kind of inconvenience. I kept telling myself he was just stressed, that he'd come around. She finally sat down across from me, and I could see the tears in her eyes. Mom, you're not going to any nursing home. I don't care what he says. We'll figure something out. Honey, you've got your own life, your own problems. 3 kids, 2 jobs. You're my mother, she said fiercely. Family takes care of family. That's when I told her about my conversation with Patricia, about the property transfer. Sarah listened quietly, her expression changing from anger to something else. Calculation, maybe. You want to transfer the house to me? Half of it, yes. Your father can't just throw me away and expect to keep everything we built together. This house represents 40 years of my life, my work, my contribution to this marriage. If he wants to abandon me, fine. But he doesn't get to profit from it. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Mom, that's brilliant and completely justified. But are you sure? This is a big step. I've never been more sure of anything. This morning, when he told me I'd be more comfortable in a nursing home, something inside me broke. But then something else got stronger. I'm not going to be discarded like trash. Good, Sarah said firmly, because I've been thinking too. I've been looking at apartments, trying to figure out how to get a place big enough for me and the kids and you. I can't do it on my diner wages, but if we had the house, you'd be willing to take me in. Sarah looked at me like I'd asked the most ridiculous question in the world. Mom, I've been trying to figure out how to ask you to move in with us for months, ever since your stroke. I just didn't know how to bring it up because I know how much you love this house. We sat together in the living room, surrounded by 4 decades of memories, and planned our rebellion. Patricia could draw up the papers tomorrow. We'd need to act fast before Robert came home and potentially tried to stop us. What do you think he'll do when he finds out? Sarah asked. I honestly don't know. He's become someone I don't recognize these past few months. Well, he's about to find out who we are, Sarah said, and for the first time in months, I felt like I had an ally, someone on my side. The sound of Robert's car in the driveway made us both tense up. Should I stay? Sarah asked. No, go home to your children. But Sarah, thank you for believing in me, for not making me feel like a burden. She hugged me carefully, mindful of my balance issues. You're not a burden, Mom. You're my mother, and I love you. We're going to get through this together. As Sarah left, I saw Robert watching from his car, probably wondering what she was doing here in the middle of the day. Good. Let him wonder. Let him worry. Tomorrow, I would start taking back control of my life. Patricia arrived at 10 a.m. sharp, her briefcase in hand and a determined look on her face. I'd explained everything over the phone the night before, and she'd agreed to expedite the paperwork. Dorothy, I have to ask you one more time, are you absolutely certain about this? Once we file these papers, there's no taking it back easily. I looked around the living room one more time. Robert was at the grocery store. I'd specifically asked him to pick up a few things, knowing it would take him at least an hour. We had time. I'm certain, Patricia. This is my home, too. I helped pay for it. I maintained it. I made it a home for 40 years. He doesn't get to just erase me. She nodded and spread the papers across the coffee table. All right then. Sign here, and initial there. My hand shook slightly as I signed my name, but not for my medical condition. This was nerves, adrenaline, the fear and excitement of finally taking action. This transfers your 50% ownership to Sarah Mitchell-Torres, correct? Correct. And you understand that this means Robert will now co-own the house with your daughter, not with you? I understand perfectly. Patricia gathered the papers efficiently. I'll file these today. They'll be official by close of business. Dorothy, good luck. After she left, I sat in the quiet house and waited. The hardest part was still coming. Robert returned around noon, humming that same tune from yesterday. He seemed almost cheerful as he unpacked groceries, probably counting down the days until I'd be out of his hair permanently. "Did you call Sarah yet?" he asked, not looking at me. "About Thursday?" "Yes, I called her." "Good. What did she say?" She had quite a lot to say, actually. Something in my tone must have alerted him, because he finally looked at me. "What do you mean?" "I mean, she's not very happy with your decision. In fact, she's furious." Robert's face darkened. "This isn't her decision to make. You're my wife, and I know what's best for you." "Actually, Robert, I'm not so sure you do." He stared at me for a moment, then shook his head dismissively. "Dorothy, don't make this harder than it needs to be. You'll like Sunset Manor. They have bingo on Wednesdays." Bingo on Wednesdays. As if that would make up for losing my home, my independence, my dignity. "Robert, sit down. We need to talk." "We already talked. Everything's decided." "No, everything's not decided. You decided, without consulting me, without asking what I wanted, without caring about my feelings. You decided I was too much trouble and you wanted me gone." He had the grace to look uncomfortable. "It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. You promised to love me in sickness and in health. The first time I get sick, really sick, you can't wait to get rid of me." "That's not fair, Dorothy. I've been taking care of you for months." "Taking care of me? When was the last time you helped me with a shower without sighing and rolling your eyes? When was the last time you made me a meal without acting like it was the biggest inconvenience in the world? When was the last time you touched me with kindness instead of obligation?" He opened his mouth to argue, then closed it again. We both knew the answer. "This is hard for me too," he said finally. "Then why does it feel like you're relieved to be getting rid of me?" We stared at each other across the kitchen table, the same table where we'd shared thousands of meals, where we'd helped Sarah with homework, where we'd planned our life together. "Maybe I am relieved," he admitted quietly. "Maybe I'm tired of my life revolving around your limitations. Maybe I want to do things again without worrying about whether you can handle the walk, or if there's a bathroom nearby, or if you'll need help getting in and out of the car." At least he was being honest now. "So you've already given up on me. On us." "Haven't you?" he shot back. "When was the last time you made an effort to be the woman I married? All you do is complain about pain, ask for help, make me feel guilty for wanting a normal life." The words hit like physical blows. "The woman you married is still here, Robert. She's just dealing with some physical challenges. But apparently that's too much for you to handle." "It is too much. I didn't sign up for this." "Yes, you did. In sickness and in health, remember? We both said those words. That was 40 years ago. People change. Circumstances change." "Yes, they do. And apparently, some people change into strangers." My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. Papers filed. "It's official." "Speaking of changes," I said, looking up at Robert, "I have some news." "What now?" "I've transferred my half of the house to Sarah." The color drained from his face. "You what?" "This morning. It's already filed with the county. Sarah now owns 50% of this house." Robert stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "You can't do that." "I already did it. This house was as much mine as yours. If you want to abandon me, fine. But you don't get to keep everything. Dorothy, you can't be serious. This is my home." "It was our home. But you made it clear I'm not welcome here anymore." That's not. I never said that." "You didn't have to say it. Packing me off to a nursing home said it loud enough." He started pacing, his face red with anger. "This is insane. You can't just give away half our house because you're upset." "I'm not upset, Robert. I'm done. Done being treated like a burden. Done being made to feel guilty for needing help. Done pretending that you still love me when clearly you don't. Of course I love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of me, the memory of who I used to be, but you can't stand who I am now. The truth hung between us like a wall. Sarah will let me stay here, I continued. She wants me to move in with her and the kids, so I won't be going to Sunset Manor after all. You can't do this to me, he said, his voice breaking slightly. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm doing something for me, for the first time in months. I'm choosing dignity over convenience. I'm choosing family who actually wants me over a husband who sees me as damaged goods. Robert slumped against the counter. 40 years, Dorothy. 40 years we've been together. Yes, and you threw them all away the moment taking care of me became inconvenient. We stood in our kitchen, surrounded by the remnants of our life together, and I realized that some things once broken can never be fixed. Some words, once spoken, can never be taken back. Robert had made his choice when he decided I was disposable. Now I had made mine. 3 days later, Sarah arrived with a U-Haul truck and her 3 children, Tommy, Katie, and little Jake. The kids were excited about having Grandma come live with them, though they didn't fully understand why. Are you sure about this, Mom? Sarah asked for the 10th time as we packed my clothes. Once we do this, there's no going back. I looked around the bedroom I'd shared with Robert for 30 years. He'd been sleeping in the guest room since our confrontation, barely speaking to me except to mutter angry comments about lawyers and property rights. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Sarah had found a beautiful rental house across town, 4 bedrooms, one on the ground floor for me and a fenced yard for the kids. The rent was manageable with my Social Security and her income combined, especially since we'd be splitting household expenses. Grandma, look what I made for your new room. Katie, my 8-year-old granddaughter, held up a hand-drawn picture of our family, the boys, Sarah, and me all holding hands in front of a house with a rainbow overhead. It's beautiful, sweetheart. We'll put it on my nightstand. Tommy, who was feeling better from his fever, helped carry my lighter boxes. At 12, he was trying so hard to be the man of the house, just like his mother had been trying to be everything to everyone. Is Grandpa sad we're leaving? Little Jake asked, his 6-year-old eyes wide with concern. Sarah and I exchanged glances. How do you explain to a child that sometimes adults make choices that hurt the people they're supposed to love? Grandpa is adjusting to changes, I said carefully. Sometimes grown-ups need time to figure things out. As we loaded the last of my belongings, Robert appeared in the doorway. He looked older somehow, smaller. The confident, dismissive man from a few days ago had been replaced by someone who seemed lost. Dorothy, wait. I paused, a box of photo albums in my arms. Yes. Can we talk? Alone. Sarah stepped forward protectively. Mom, you don't have to. It's okay, honey. Robert, we can talk, but I'm not changing my mind. He nodded and followed me into the living room. The kids were playing in the yard, and Sarah was loading the truck, giving us privacy. I've been thinking, Robert started, about what you said, about the promises we made. And maybe I was hasty, about the nursing home thing. Maybe we could try again, work something out. I studied his face, looking for sincerity. What I saw was fear of being alone, fear of losing half his house, fear of facing the consequences of his choices. Robert, do you remember what you said to me 3 days ago? You said you were tired of your life revolving around my limitations. You said you wanted a normal life. I was angry, frustrated. People say things they don't mean when they're upset. Do they? Or do they finally say what they really think? He ran his hands through his hair. Dorothy, please. 40 years. That has to count for something. It did count for something. It counted right up until the moment you decided I was too much trouble to love anymore. I never stopped loving you. Yes, you did. Maybe not all at once, but somewhere along the way. your love became conditional. When I could walk easily, when I could take care of myself, when I wasn't inconvenient, that's when you loved me. The moment I needed genuine care, genuine support, your love disappeared. That's not fair, isn't it? Robert, in 40 years of marriage, I supported your career, raised our daughter mostly alone while you worked late, took care of your mother when she was dying, managed our household, our finances, our social life. I was your partner in everything. The first time I needed you to truly partner with me, to care for me the way I cared for your mother, you decided it was too hard. He was quiet for a long moment. So that's it? 40 years just over. You ended it when you made arrangements to put me in a nursing home without discussing it with me. You ended it when you decided my comfort and dignity were less important than your convenience. Sarah appeared in the doorway. Mom, we're ready to go. I looked around the living room one last time. At the mantelpiece where our wedding photo still sat, at the couch where Robert and I used to watch movies together, at the window where I'd watched Sarah learn to ride her bike in the front yard. Goodbye, Robert. Dorothy, wait. But I was already walking away, Sarah's steady hand on my elbow, helping me toward the truck and toward a future where I would be wanted, cherished, treated with dignity. 6 months later, I was sitting in my new bedroom, watching through the window as Tommy taught Jake how to throw a baseball in the backyard. Katie was at the kitchen table, working on homework while Sarah prepared dinner. My physical therapy was going well. Having a reason to get stronger, knowing I was needed and wanted, had motivated me in ways I hadn't expected. I could walk short distances without assistance now, and while I still needed help with some things, Sarah never made me feel like a burden. Grandma, dinner. Katie called. I made my way to the kitchen, where Sarah had set the table for 5. She did this every night, treated me like an essential part of the family, not a guest or an obligation. How was your day, Mom? Sarah asked the same question she'd asked every day since I moved in. Good. I helped Katie with her math homework, and I made that casserole recipe you wanted to try. You didn't have to do that. I wanted to. I like feeling useful. And I did. Here, in this house full of laughter and chaos and love, I wasn't a patient or a burden. I was grandma, helper with homework, story reader, cookie baker, wisdom giver. I was needed and valued for who I was, not pitted for what I couldn't do. My phone buzzed. A text from Robert. Dorothy, can we please talk? I miss you. I showed it to Sarah, who raised an eyebrow. What do you want to do? I looked around the dinner table at my 3 grandchildren telling me about their day, at my daughter who had rearranged her entire life to make room for me, at the house that felt more like home than the place I'd lived for 30 years. I deleted the message without responding. Some bridges, once burned, should stay burned. Some choices, once made, should be honored. Robert had chosen his convenience over our marriage, his comfort over my dignity. I had chosen differently. I had chosen family who wanted me, love without conditions, a place where getting older and needing help didn't make me disposable. As we sat around the dinner table, Jake telling a long, rambling story about his day at kindergarten, Katie showing off her latest art project, Tommy talking about his upcoming basketball game, I realized something profound. I wasn't the one who had lost everything. Robert was alone in that big house, eating dinner by himself, sleeping in a bed that probably felt too empty, rattling around in rooms full of memories of the family he'd thrown away. I was here, surrounded by people who loved me not despite my limitations, but simply because I was me. I was Mom, Grandma, the woman who had chosen dignity over convenience, love over fear. I had made the right choice, and for the first time in months, I felt truly at home.